So just to who have joined Prerna Manch for the first time, I can just brief the Prerna Manch platform. So this is a kind of community engagement platform which we started very recently, and thanks to COVID that this started very fast. So this Prerna Manch actually this is focusing on kind of engagement for all the community members. This is a Prerna Manch where the community of breakthrough thinkers and visionary leaders can come together to share the ideas and innovation to bring the positive, proactive, productive engagement or a purposeful engagement. So today we have the theme of driving transformation for business growth in changing scenario. So we divide this theme into two parts. So one is the driving transformation for business growth, and second part is the changing scenario. So we can understand what is the changing scenario in the current COVID situation, that all the things are very dynamic and also very unknown things are happening in our surrounding. The things are situation is very uncertain. So in this changing scenario, what as a breakthrough thinker, as a visionary leader, we need to do? So we need to have a mindset, we need to have a vision, we need to have behavior to identify what is invisible and what is unknown from the visible or unknown which we can see to explore and identify the opportunities. So what we can see is the visual, is the everyone is the actions and the results and the transformation. So we need to see more deeper. So this transformation is only the surface, but one or two step we need to go deeper. So second is the what is not seen. As a leader, we need to see under the visual what is invisible. So invisible are, for example, like strategy, directions, processes, relationships, and maybe your new learning also. And what is not known are the mindset of the leader, behavior of the leader, and the intent of the transformation. So in this session, actually, we will focus all these three areas. We will only not see the visual part, what is the transformation, what is the result, but also go deep to see the invisible and unknown. So luckily, we have very good panel today of very high quality individual, also the industry expert and industry veterans. So let me introduce the three speakers of today. Mr. M.S. Sankar, who is the President and Head of Group Innovation and Technology in Anand Group. Mr. R.B. Singh, Managing Director of Deco Power Transmission Private Limited. And Mr. Sanjay Ranavare from Titan Company Limited, Tanishq Jewelry Division, Chief Manufacturing Officer. So we have very good panel today. Like in cricket, we call dream team. This is the dream panel we can have on this theme. So I directly come to the first speaker without wasting much time and introduce to Mr. M.S. Sankar. So Mr. M.S. Sankar is not unknown to many of us. He is very known personality and he is very much involved in the development activity. Also keep guiding and mentoring us at the various forums and various opportunities. So he is coming from Anand Group and taking care of very important functions of technology and innovation. In the current context, you can see that technology and innovation is in the forefront, and he is handling both the portfolio in Anand Group. So you can understand the responsibility he has. Also, when we talk about Mr. Sankar, he has more than 37 years of experience in industry, and he has not only in technology and innovation, but gamut of experience in various profiles in manufacturing, operations, in the area of supply chain, in the area of business development. So all this area he has worked along, and now he's focusing on technology and innovation. So one thing which keep him apart from others is that the systematic thinking and out-of-box ideas which he brings with his very energetic and very pleasing personality, that is Mr. Sankar. So now I think stop myself and request Mr. Sankar to please come and please share your insights and learnings with all of us, and we are eagerly waiting for you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Avinash. I always say that whenever I see these three young geniuses, I get triple the energy. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is, it's in three parts. part A will be the introduction as Avinash has requested me. Part B is what exactly I have been doing and I have been thinking. And part 3 is a process or a synthesis of or a structure what is emerging from my thinking, which I want to share with you as a takeaway. We are here to share our experiences on driving transformation for business growth. Obviously, the change scenario is there. Let me make it very clear that each of the organizations in we work or which we own or promote is suddenly not come up and driving a transformation. Somewhere in the past, they have had some thoughts, but the thoughts have always been of business growth, building upon the business as on today. That is the unchanging past. So business growth will have to take place irrespective of whether the scenario has changed or not. At the same time, business growth in the areas which have degrown, especially I come from automotive, so there is a big degrowth. Commercial vehicles down by 85%, passenger cars down by 35-40%. And none of us is seeing a ray of hope, at least till the next quarter ends. So the June quarter is about to end and it has been a disaster. May, no sales. April, possibly a week of sale. And June, possibly a week of sale at only 15 or 20%. There is tremendous pressure on each of the organizations. The business as usual has to continue to maintain efficiencies and has to ensure it creates money. There is no doubt about it. And it is the people in the organization who have the responsibility of creating growth for the future. It is upon them that they need to imagine the future faster and the future of virtually next year and then try to drive growth. So this is what I think we are here to share, and this is what we say is driving transformations for business growth in changing scenario. So my first part I have completed. Let me put up a few slides that I have created which will help me speak. Are you able to see the slide that I put up?
Yes, sir, we can see it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a session of roughly around 12 minutes. I'll try to keep it shorter. I have got a question and a surprise. My realization in the last year and a half has been that this is what the customer expects us to see, or rather customer is expecting us to be. Rather, he is expecting to see us in this three-eyed Buddha avatar. He expects us to control the current processes, continually improve. For example, in automotive, all that we talk of continuous improvement is reducing rejections, going to zero defect, and improve the synchronization ratio, that is order to delivery, and everybody expects us to be at 100%. At the same time, as a leader, the customer expects us to deliver a breakthrough, not for ourselves, but for him. And the question that I ask myself, and I want to ask each of you, is how often do you get ready in front of a mirror to present yourself to your customer? Not to straighten your tie, not to straighten your collar, but do we look like this to the customer? It's a very tough question. And this is what I propose as a new habit. And this is what I'm trying to do. I will be speaking in the language of unchanging and changing. So what is the strategy at level of unchanging? It is definitely developing world-class scale. However, the scale may have a different meaning. The scale may not mean 1000 units a month. It could be only 15 units a month in these COVID times. And the three basics of scale will have to continue. That is the flow using Hejunka, language and behavior of quality, and zero bad. When we look at it, the 10x changes require a lean, agile, flexible, big M. And a question that I ask is, will I be able to create new, current, and hence new future? The answer is no, but I require it for current business. Let's take my own example in the last 6 months. Somewhere in the month of December, it was a reaction. Some of our companies reported that supplies from China may not be coming in time in January. The Auto Expo may not be attended by most of our partners. So the thing that hit us at that point in time in December and January, December 2019 and 2020 is, hey, what do we do? And the first thing that comes from all consultants and in general is cash is king, conserve cash. No expenses, no travel, no new investments. We were scared as a small group of around 3 people. However, during the Auto Expo, we were hit by something that we saw in the display area of the automobiles, not the auto components. There were more startups than the OEMs. Some OEMs had stayed away because of cost. But what impressed us was the so-called new name I have given are the non-conventional OEMs or the startups in automotive. They were present in big numbers. There were students, there were retired professionals. That was the big range of people who had, and each of them had a product which was unique. And each one of them talked only of function. He did not talk about the feature. And suddenly it connected me to what we have learned in our modules. Module 1 is observation. Module 2 is Hejunka. Module 3 is concept engineering. Module 4 is co-creation. And suddenly something happened and the 3 of us, Mr. Sunil Kaul, I and one more gentleman, we got together and said, do we need to be changing our strategy? The way we observe, the way we meet people. And we said, let's wait till the Auto Expo gets over and then we'll start. And lo and behold, we had put up 2 new alliances in the booths at the Auto Expo. And what happened? We started getting inquiries, urgencies from people whom we had never learnt of. The classical OEMs, when we contacted them, they were shy. They were conservative. They were conserving cash. Cash has to be conserved for the execution operation. But what about the future? And what we realized, the innovation and technology gang of 3, we realized is we have a bigger responsibility to create the future for Anand, because the current business, we don't know how quickly it will recover. And that's exactly what has unfolded in the last 3 months. We have visited virtually numerous startups in India and overseas. We have visited suppliers who are talking about bringing in manufacturing methods and IoT from other industries. For example, there are people from the medical field wanting to get and learn IoT, whereas we believe that they are far advanced in manufacturing than us. So the medical field was one of the areas, and we did an exercise of meeting around 12 doctors across Pune, Aurangabad and Kolhapur to understand what is the ventilator. We had a remote idea that if it works out well, we could get into ventilator manufacturing, but we were clear, we wanted to understand how do they manufacture and design a ventilator. And it was a revelation. It was a great learning. They are following the same methodology what we do in the automotive industry. A careful assessment of the quality function deployment, understanding the patient. But here we saw that people were more closer to the user than most of us in the industry. That was a big learning. We need to get more closer to the user, not the customer. For Anand, the customer is Tata, Mahindra, Suzuki, Hyundai. But do we go and meet the consumer very often? And the answer was a shocking no. Maybe yes, but no as a process. Hence, we started engaging with people who used these vehicles. We talked to dealers and we had a great insight. And finally, in the last 1.5 months, thanks to our choice of 2 new partners who are basically boutique design companies, they were startup themselves around 7 years ago. We felt good that we had made this decision almost in the month of December. We had signed MOUs with them in the month of January to work with them, treating these startups as our strategic joint venture partner. This is something different compared to the Anand DNA of working with the big 2, big 3 of the world in auto components. But what was unchanging was the concept of learning from people who are more advanced and invested money. So, what this meant was that we had to move from developing world-class scale to securing the future of stakeholders. We started focusing on unmet, unarticulated need of automobile and OEMs. We started a culture of innovation, language, and behavior, and we started setting a new boundary beyond zone of comfort. And what we realized was we need a young, agile, flexible startup. Again, we asked the question, will I be able to create new current and hence new future? Answer was yes. Here also, if you see, we adopted our DNA of manufacturing. Do something, go and check. And these questions I have understood is we need to ask the right question to get a strategy. So here I have shared with you the strategy at level of unchanging aspects. We have to continue using Big M. We have to continue whatever we have learned in module 2, module 1, and we need to focus what we have done and apply it more frequently what we have done in module 3 and 4, and that is the way for the future. To summarize and present what in the same format as Avinash asked, what is visible are the actions, new teams, new organization structure of 6 each by hiring specialists from outside organization. This was a disruption. We hired people from outside the organization when the rest of the organizations were not allowed to hire anybody. So we got people from domains which we did not know. And we said that 1 person from Anand and around 5 people from outside will demonstrate these technologies. So what are the strategies? We are engaging with about half a dozen entrepreneurs of boutique innovation startup like companies to create work relations in the area of technology adaptation for unmet needs of Indian industry. So we are trying to adapt technology. What has been different? What is unknown to you? What is in my behavior mindset is what I've put together for an easy reference to you. We have controlled, I'm using the three-eyed Buddha. We have controlled the process of observation, listening, concept engineering while working with new gen OEMs in emerging mobility propositions. The mindset that we have adapted consciously is that we need to chase differentiated function growth, not volume growth. Volume growth is out. We were talking about it a year and a half ago. Volumes are decreasing, but now we realize volume growth is out. And mission is very important for us. This is what was the key to the actions we took is we need to build technology demonstrating manufacturing plants. For 2 years, we are not bothering about what sale we will get, but we need to demonstrate technology which enable reduce greenhouse gases and emissions of automobiles. Finally, gentlemen, what is the strategy at level of thought is now I'm able to synthesize. We need to control scientific methodologies, improve learning mode and nurturing partnerships, and the breakthrough is beyond current product. Forget about your product. A group of people in a company has to forget about current product and focus on future product. We need to be the first to imagine and conceptualize. And most important, function first, technology next. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your insight and inspiration. I think this was very, very good. Actually, we got some insights, and the way you presented these 3 eyes of Buddha is a very, very actually different. And we can see a different perspective from these 3 eyes of Buddha, sir. So we can also learning from it. So the same framework of 3 eyes and this visible, invisible, unknown, how we can capture the entire journey, entire learnings and entire perspective into 2 simple image. That is the key learning for today. So I can summarize with 3 actually. One is the changing and unchanging. So what is changing and unchanging? Like changing the customer, maybe changing the supplier, changing the maybe the technology mindset, and also what is the old and what is the new. So but we need to do a balance. What you said, sir, this is very true, that we need to do a balance between these 2, old and new, and also the present and future. So when we look at the future, we also need to see the present also. So I think this was very, very motivating, sir, very inspiring. So maybe we can take up the question in the last, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Avinash. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So now I welcome our next speaker, Mr. R.B. Singh, sir. So Mr. Singh is the Managing Director of DECO Power Transmission. So he is the founding member of WheelFM since 2006. So when we started this WheelFM program in 2006, when it was only at the concept stage, so he was the founding member, and also when the VSME program started, so he led the VSME program from Sona side. So he is a great supporter, guide, and mentor to the VSME community. Earlier, he transformed many suppliers, including the Paragon, and a very successful Sona Paragon case was authored by him, and we keep learning from it, sir, actually. So he keeps guiding the WheelFM program and the community continuously with under the various capacity. He earlier also led the module 2 of WheelFM program as a module director in the initial batches, and he is now supporting the WheelFM as a key member for the recent initiative we took as a WheelFM stakeholder ecosystem development. So now I think it is time to request Mr. R.B. Singh, sir, with more than 38 years of experience in automotive industry, especially in the area of operations, quality and manufacturing excellence. So he is known for persistence as a key leadership skills, and he got this great virtue in today's challenging time. So I request Mr. R.B. Singh, sir, to please guide us and give his insights and expertise to the fellow WheelFM community. Thank you, sir. So please, sir.
Thank you very much, Avinash. Good afternoon to all the people present here. I will start from where Shankar finished, that forget about the existing product. So I am going to tell you some story in very short. This covers 3 aspects. One is working like owner. Second point is taking risk and overcoming fear of failure. And third is persistence in your work. Let me go back to about 5 years back in my company when I joined this company. And it is a company which manufactures engine products, and customers are automotive, as Shankar also explained. The company was growing at the rate of 5%, 10%, and at one point it was stagnant. So I thought what we need to do in this case, and let me tell you about this company. It is a global company headquartered in USA, and there are about 15 to 16 plants worldwide. Our plant in Manesar being one. if we try to grow in our business beyond 5 to 10% every year, it was not possible to grow because there was stagnation, there was competition in the market. So I thought that unless we have any new product which can bring 20 to 30% growth every year, we cannot grow. So immediate need was to launch a market survey. So we surveyed the market, and our focus was to find out the product which we will be able to manufacture with our core competencies, not necessarily that the product which we are manufacturing. Finally, we came to conclusion that we need X project. This is confidential as of now, so I will not tell you the name. So X project, we decided that this is a project which will be giving us breakthrough sales. And after more investigation into corporate and our history, we found that we never ventured into this project even after being 115 years old company. So we prepared the budget, and for this, if we wanted to develop new product in India, we needed the engineering department to do R&D and have testing in India. So we asked for engineering R&D in India, testing facilities, and also India being the lead country, so that we develop this product in India and then it can be given to other countries. After examination in corporate office, finally they agreed and sanctioned the budget for engineering R&D, and we designed the product here. For design, finally we got global entities also involved from Europe and USA. So 3 countries were working: India, Europe and USA in this project. We established our R&D, we designed prototype and manufactured prototype. This prototype was taken by me physically to USA in a global conference of country heads, and I showed that product to everyone. This is what I learned from Professor Shiba, that when you have to demonstrate your product, if you show the actual product, then it makes the most impact. So this had a very big impact on the audience, and the project was cleared immediately. But the journey was not so smooth, and there was many delays, customers delayed. And even our global Europe and USA also started working on this project, and they contacted their customers, they started getting inquiries and requests to design the product. But here in India we had delays, and because of delays, slowly the organization started losing interest in the project. So we missed many of the deadlines which were given by me, that customer will approve and customer will audit and customer will give LOI, etc. So it almost about 2.5 to 3 years went by, and there was no progress in this project. So finally the stakeholders in our company, they were not happy and they thought that this is not going to happen, and they were skeptical about this project. Finally there was in October, November, Indian economy went back and our sales were also down. And during this time, the CEO and the president changed in my company. And then again, there was pressure on India to reduce the losses and improve the profit. And during this time, what happened was we made substantial product in last 3-4 months with the customer, and we came to design finalization and coming very close to investment and price finalization. But going by the past experience of about 3 years, the people in global R&D and finance department and the CEO, they were not willing to invest in this project, saying that this may not happen. So last 2 months, say April, from April beginning to May, were very happening in my company, where we were pushing for investment for this project, but the company was not willing to invest, and because of the delay. During this, what I found was, since this thing is happening, and in company other people also know what is happening, and they were demotivated. But I told them, you don't worry, this project will come to us and it cannot go anywhere else. Because there was a situation that this project could go somewhere to Europe and not to India. And because Europe had some more business coming up. But during last 2 months, we continued working and trying to convince people. I took help of so many people who were not even in the company. And keeping the team motivated was main job during last 2 months. There were a lot of fear of failure that this project does not come up, then our growth will be restricted. But I kept on telling them. I myself was thinking internally that to leave this project, let it go to hell. It is why I am unnecessarily following it for last 3 years. Whereas customers appreciated us that your perseverance is excellent, that for last 3 to 4 years you are working on this project and you have not given up. So finally, when we could present to the company what our next 3 to 5 years growth and what will be the global growth in this project, company accepted this. It was presented to the president and to the CEO. And finally, last month end, May end, it was finalized that this project will come to India and company will invest for this project. So this is a breakthrough for my company, and you can see that for last about 4 years we have been working on this, and there have been lots of swing between negative to positive, and many times I thought to give up, but continued on this project, that let me try once more, and that is how we have come up to this stage, that finally we won, and that we won against our internal competition globally, that this project will come to India. What I have learned from this, about 7 things I have listed, is diversify using core competency so that it can be used globally also. So there will be very easy acceptance of the product. and speed in making proto and showing it and showing the physical sample. That was a key in this project. And despite delays in the customers and internal delays, we persisted on this project and fought the skepticism in India and global. They were always saying that it was never done, so how you could do it, but we continued, persisted, and we did it. One very important point is, try to take help from anyone known who could help in this venture. Even the employees who had left the company, I could talk to them and try to get some help. Even if small help, it is okay. Taking risk. There was a lot of risk for my reputation. If it fails, then because this was a project which I started against many people in the company, but for growth of India and eventually growth of global company. But if it fails, then I will be only to be blamed. So I took that risk of getting blamed, and finally working and behaving like owner. So coming back to my conclusion, that the three things which helped in this business growth venture. One is working and behaving like owner. Second is taking risk and overcoming the fear of failure, and persistence. So this is the story which I wanted to tell you. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I think this was very detailed. I can say that we can understand the 3-year journey in actually this 10 or 12 minutes. So this is very good. Actually, sir, we can learn so much in this 10-12 minutes, the entire thing. But when I can summarize in our theme that the visual part was only this breakthrough new product, but invisible was all these challenges, all this risk, all this persistence, all this hard work, and also meeting many customers, and also using your past learning from Professor Siva also. And the unknown is the what you very much captured in the last is the persistence. As a leader, we need to continue, because you continue for almost 3 years. So this is not a short time. This is not a time of 6 months or 1 year, but continuing for almost 3 years. And when you don't know anything, to charting a path which is unknown, uncertain. So as a leader, it was a big risk. So I can certainly say you took the risk, but it was, I think, as a leader, it was a calculated risk. So I think, sir, you behave like a owner and continued on this mission to build this breakthrough new product. So I thank you very much, sir, for giving this kind of insights and your own experience of creating a breakthrough new product. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now I invite our third speaker of today, Mr. Sanjay Ranavare. So Mr. Sanjay is coming from a very different industry. So he's coming from a industry, and he will take us to a very different new perspective and new insights. Mr. Sanjay is from Titan. He is heading the Tanishq Jewelry Division at Hosur as a Chief Manufacturing Officer. And he has more than 33 years of experience in the area of supply chain, sourcing, operations. And he is from our own WillFM. He is graduated from WillFM in batch 7. But incidentally, when he came, he was the only one from Titan. But he single-handedly kept the torch high for the WillFM in the organization, and he diffused the many learning of WillFM and also mentored and handhold the fellow colleagues who joined from the Titan later on also. He is also very much active in the WillFM activity and supported the first WillFM BSME core team in 2018 and gave his valuable guidance and suggestions. He is very creative and innovative approach in the operation supply chain and creating the new benchmark in the industry, which is jewelry industry. So I request Mr. Sanjay to share his insights and expertise with the fellow VLSI community. So sir, on behalf of the community, I request you to please join and share your insights. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Avinash, presentation is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see, sir. It is visible.
Hello.
Sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome all VLFM community members for this presentation. I thank Sarita Madam for GS sir for giving this opportunity, and also a great presentation by Mr. Shankar as well as Mr. RB Singh. So I am going to talk about the relationship with stakeholder, more specifically with our partners and the employees of the partner. That's what we call them, artisan. And so see, this Titan is a joint venture between Tata Group and Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation. So the Tata, all this, everything, the highest importance is given to the relationship. Sorry. I'll just put it in slideshow. Yeah, so about our company and the brand, we have 4 divisions: watches, jewelry, eyewear, and we are also recently ventured into Taneira, as well as in the Taneira is into sari business. We have this various the total turnover of the companies in the space of 25,000 crore. Jewelry leads the show, and we have brands in all the segments. I just want to get into this. Is that basically what are our key learnings in the VLFM? One was this conceptual learning: jump into the fish bowl and actually feel what the fishes are feeling. At the same time, not getting lost with the fishes, but come out and see what is the need for the changes. On the other side, the breakthrough mindset, the way changes are happening now in our, like we are seeing the current COVID situation. At the same time, the gold rate, rising gold rate. Last year's time, the gold rate has gone up 40%. Also, we are seeing there's a change more from a physical word to the digital word of selling things. So these are the changes we see, and then we need to adapt to that. At the same time, while doing this, we need to have a noble vision, which not only just talks about business profit, but it focuses on triple bottom line, which takes care of people as well as planet. So this, I'm sure all the VLFM graduates are aware about this. Basically, many things we see, but there are something is known, something is unknown or not visible. So this is what I want to relate what's happening or give an example of our industry. Like today, we see in the jewelry industry, the showrooms and the jewelry product, they look so nice. They're all visible. That is what is known to all of us. The jewelry and how it looks and how it gets sold. At the same time, the invisible part is that the factories or the employees who work for this industry, the background with which they came, the type of things, various ways of manufacturing jewelry, even starting from handmade to casting to tubing to machine made to CNC, everything is getting used into the industry. And the unknown part is that being this jewelry being regional, having its regional nuances and importance, get produced in different part of the country. Like, Kolkata produces filigree type of jewelry. There is Jaipur produces Kundan jewelry. In Hyderabad produces color stone based jewelry. And the important unknown part is that, see, this industry works on a jewelry manufacturing. On the other side, the two elements which gets into this is gold and diamond. The gold and the gold mining, and similar way the diamond mining, and then the jewelry production. Actually, the people, those who work into this industry, and how this the exploitation of people on one side, the people have been completely taken care. their health, hygiene, and so many things we are finding the exploitation happening at the back of the industry. So in short, what I want to express is that the known part is the showrooms or the factory, they look so very nice. But the unknown part is that where the jewelry is getting produced and how these karigars work, be it in the production side or jewelry manufacturing, be it in gold mining or on the diamond side, diamond mining as well as diamond cutting polishing. So like if you take India, today this industry is a very big industry. Size of this industry is 4 crore and a lot of small shops are there. On the other side, there are 50 lakh karigars, they work into this industry, either in jewelry manufacturing or they are involved in diamond cutting polishing. So much employment it provides. Today, like in the diamond side, 9 out of 10 diamonds get produced, processed in the country. We import the rough. Rough import is somewhere around $15 billion. And the diamond is what polished diamond, 95% of the diamond get exported, and which is around $20 billion. That's the size of the industry we are talking about. And then what is the reality of this industry? This is what I'm just trying to see, that the back end, the showrooms looks very nice, they look very glittering. But at the back end of the industry, that the karigars are getting exploited. The retailers who are involved, they are just looking them as a source of buying jewelry. This is with the traders mentality. There's no involvement into the business. The karigar, actually the art karigar, he enters into the business of at the age of 8 or 10 because he can't get into the education, learns the trades, whatever on the way. While growing, he learns how to make a different component, how to assemble jewelry, how to make a different part of the jewelry. That's the way that it goes on. And this manufacturing is like a lot of these karigars are from West Bengal particularly, and then we also have a regional karigar, because this which I told in the beginning, there's a lot of regional jewelry gets produced. So you see a lot of child labor, work conditions are not good, and the processes, absolute processes, because they are just producing every bulk production also like a prototype. So there is a lot of scope is only just grow the business, but how can we go about transformation of this industry? So it started almost like a 15-20 years back with a program Unnati, then Mr. Perfect. So creating Mr. Perfect setups at all our dedicated, apart from our own manufacturing unit, we have dedicated partners, we have strategic partners across the country. And so creating these setups where we provide that good work facility for the karigar. It started with that. Then we moved on to the karigar center. We have established 4 karigar centers at Osur. That is where the karigar can work as well as they can stay. It is a full-fledged facility, investing 25 crore rupees. It was more iconic for all other industry to take inspiration from, so that they can also improve their industries and take care of the karigars. So this is what we have done. And what are the outcomes of this? So it has surely improved the work condition. It has created that sense of pride and dignity into the craftsmanship. This is a consistent earning because they have been organized industry, the load have been taken care. And also, since we come with our everything getting to karigar, given a chance, if you give him a 35 gram of gold and told him to make a necklace, he is in a position to do that. So then he just need a sketch. But if you can use these practices of engineering industry, where you can component, the bill of material, the stamp pieces, the various components they're provided like a kit, he's in a position to do these things much better. So there's a scope for improving productivity is what we saw. On the other side, we have seen by getting involved with them, there's an improvement in quality. Also, this responsible sourcing of jewelry has started, responsible manufacturing. And when I say responsible manufacturing, actually we use a 4P principle. 4P, which take care of people, process, planet, as well as place. So how we can move this from a cottage industry towards standard or to the world class level. That's the idea. Also, it becomes a benchmark for the industry, whatever we do, and also attracts the younger people into this. So this is what is our business growth over the last 7 years. And so what is that we have done during this period? See, during this period, we have just seen that it is because we have to take care of the whole ecosystem, not only our people working in the manufacturing plant, but also with all our partners and particularly karigars. But that way we have a team of 1,000 people inside, but the support system is around 5,000 artisans working across the country. And so how can we in touch with this period? How can we communicate hope and positivity by having a series of meetings during this period? and also providing a monetary support when there is no production, because in many places, even though these karigars do not work for direct, it's like a contract you can equivalent can be a contract labor, but we are having such a relationship with people like almost taking care of this karigar when they don't get a payment by providing sustenance allowance, providing loan at a very nominal rate of interest to the partners. So this is what we have done. Also, we are thinking about during this period, we saw that some of the partners have gone out of the way for taking care of their artisans. So really recognizing these people, because they perceive this as a investment towards creating future loyalty. And so that is what have been done. Like all other industry, we also know with all the partners, and whenever now in different part of the country, the setups are started with 10% to 20% to 30% norm. But it is very important, because this industry, we also seen maintaining social distance become norm, because the way, the place where they work, the way, the facility, so ensuring that we follow all safety norm. And I will say it is also, at least at this point of time, is helping, because the demand being on the low side, even there are no, and so supply side also we are in a position to manage with less of the people, even though some migration and other thing, and we are in a position to follow all the rules and regulation. And so what is that we are actually talking about next going forward? See, we really want to connect. We are already connected with these karigars, artisans across the country. We see through them, by involving them and creating that sense and pride, sense of pride and dignity into the craftsmanship, is what is the big opportunity sitting. Creating this loyalty with the artisans, then bringing smile on the face of karigars, recognizing value creating partner is what we feel is the journey. Because by involving with these people, because jewelry being a Indian heritage, and it is actually produced by these people using age-old practices. So how can we involve with these people, provide a good facility, work with them, improve their productivity, provide low-cost automation, so that the karigari productivity can go 5 to 7 times much higher. The earnings can be better. And this is what we are focusing. But here, more importantly, I want to thrust upon our not just getting limited to manufacturing setup, but involving these karigars. Like we are having a regular this Karigar Connect program at different part of the country, wherein we all involved. The whole program where Karigar, that Sanman program happens, Artisan Sanman program. And then what? Not only that, we also have this like other companies, a business associates meet where we involve all the partner. Last year we had this meet at Istanbul. We involve all the people. So it is now as a company, the Titan today, we have a front-end network. It's a team of 8,000 people across the Titan, and we have franchisee partner, we have vendor partner, investor, employee. And the biggest link which I see, having worked in other industries, that the importance for the people first culture, and giving that due importance. So that is what it's built on, the trust and trust of people. That's what we do. Actually, what we have done, we are recently running a campaign called Dua Ka Sona, wherein it comes out of bliss of the karigar, the way they have been taken. And so that, because what we sell, we're not selling product. It is not like mobile or motorcycle. It is like something, it's jewelry is mainly gets used for the wedding, and it is about selling emotion, selling about that love and affection. It's crafted with love. So that is what have been done. So I'm not showing this video here, but it's available on the YouTube. Link is also available. If you just put this Dua Ka Sona, you can see that. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I think, sir, you gave a very good insights for us actually. You can stop this sharing, sir.
Yeah, done.
So yeah, thank you, sir. So thank you for this insight today. Actually, sir, we learned very much from this today. What you said, that we have to take care of the basics. So when we see this topic of today is the driving transformation. But when we see the driving transformation, who are the real heroes, or who are the real people who are driving this transformation? If we can, as a leader, take care of that people, that kind of people, so business growth can be taken care. And that is what I can see from your presentation, that we are taking care of the karigars or the artisans who are the real drivers of the transformation for the business growth, and taking care not only for today but for the future relationship, for taking a long-term relationship to bring the pride, bring the dignity, and also keep the earnings going. so that they can live a good life, and also not only this but also support by the new kind of learning and how they can adapt with the new ways of doing the new kind of work. So this is a good learning for all of us to understand who are the real drivers and how to take care of the real drivers of transformation, and then in effect will take care of the business growth. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. GS sir, want to say anything? GS sir?
Hi, can you
Yeah.
hear me? I think all the three presentations have been excellent, and there's no doubt that Shankar spoke very clearly. Harbi Singh actually shared his very deep experiences, and Sanjay, I can relate to everything that you say because I still remember this person. I think Mahesh Vyas of Mars Jewelry or something like that. The time that I had in Hosur, I didn't want to spend how the jewelry or the watches are made, but how the karigars are actually developed. And I was amazed. Every word that Sanjay said is something I've seen. And now I'm able to relate that under the COVID situation is such a heaven for these people, which I think is what Titan and only companies like Titan can do. And in some sense, I know Bhaskar Bhatt, who is the managing director. So it's been a great vision from that level of leadership down to the execution and the leadership with Sanjay that has really created this. So it's a great learning, and I think that we can remember a lot of things that though we see at the tip of the iceberg the glitter, the entire industry is deep down into the mine, right up into the minds of the people. That's what these industries, and that's the same way that auto components are. And they can turn into a ventilator to give breathing and to support to the people. And that's the same way that a person like Harbi Singh and his organization are relentlessly pursuing a new product and a new development in spite of all the odds. So great work, and thank you very much into this. That's all I have to add, Avinash. I think it's been a great program and a lot of value add on this. I learned a lot today.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So may I request Sarita Magpal ma'am? Yeah, so may I request for giving the closing comments, and then we can wrap up at this, ma'am. We can wrap up.
Yeah, I would, I think excellent session, Avinash, very well moderated, and the three speakers were exceptionally outstanding, and GS summed up a lot of the learning and captured what the industry is in a state today. So my statement is about, setting some future directions in terms of our mindset change. What is really the mindset change? And in fact, you will be able to connect to a lot of the experience which has just been shared. So instead of minimizing variability, accept and leverage variability. That is my first suggestion in terms of a new mindset that we could start looking at. And that's, you have seen that we are opening up our mind, we are looking at new things and looking at variation in a positive way. The second thing, instead of avoiding risk and seeking predictability, can we accept, embrace and leverage risks? Shankar spoke about the Auto Expo as an opportunity. Don't seek perfect knowledge and data to act. Instead, sense and creatively respond. Instead of breaking whole into parts, define parts and manage parts. Synthesize parts and manage holistically. Next, instead of mastering the process for repeatability, master the process and skills for creativity. Instead of unambiguous 4W1H facts that all can accept, open your mind and sense invisible and the latent. Instead of first time right and zero defect being pursued, 60% right is good and build on. And the last point, designed and planned perfection. Instead of that, can we be experimental and explore and sense, learn and from new discoveries. And I think all the three examples today said that this is what is the new direction that's coming. Thank you. Thank you, Avinash.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. So now with the permission of all the guests, may I close this session now? And now we are already at 1:35, so we will close this session.
Yes, please.
Yeah.